This attractive and sometimes challenging pass is named after the two river valleys which it traverses on its way to Brontuk, north of Joubertina, in the Langkloof. It's a typical farm road and forms a long loop starting just east and ending 10 kilometers west of Joubertina, which includes the much longer Brugkloof Pass. Both have to be driven in tandem, so allow about 2 hours to complete the loop. You'll be treated to exceptional mountain views, several river crossings, deep gorges, riverine forests, and multiple fruit farms. The 8.2 kilometer long pass has 42 bends, corners, and curves, which include 2 hairpins, of which the second one is quite severe and requires cautious driving at 20 kilometers per hour. You'll need a high clearance vehicle to drive this route, as the road can get quite rough in places, but a 4x4 is not mandatory except in very wet weather. We recommend driving the two passes as a circular route in a clockwise format, which will provide the best views and optimal lighting for photography. The pass starts at its western end at the crossing of a small side stream at an elevation of 564 meters. The road then hugs the western flank of a long nose in the mountainside and remains at a fairly even altitude for the next 2.3 kilometers. To the left you'll have good views over the small valley, whilst to the right the mountains block your view. This particular section contains 9 bends, corners and curves, but none of them are too severe. At the 1.7 kilometer point, the road swings through a wide but persistent right-hand curve of almost 180 degrees as it remains on the contour line around the northern end of the mountain. At the apex of this bend, a smaller road can be seen zigzagging its way down the slope towards the Coho River. As tempting as it looks to explore this road, please resist it, as it's a dead end and leads to a private farm. The zigzag track on the far bank is part of the Coho wilderness routes, where permits must be obtained to access approximately 4 interlinking 4x4 route options. The Coho wilderness is a family-run farm, and the Ferreiras have been living on Kleinrivier since 1815. It forms part of the Babiaanskloof Mega Reserve and is nestled in the Coho Mountains about 28 kilometers north of the town of Joubertina on the R62. Accommodation is set in magnificent landscapes and consists of a farmhouse, 2 cottages, a campsite and a secluded bush camp. Numerous adventure activities are offered, including spectacular hiking trails, 4x4 routes, scenic drives, kloofing, mountain bike routes, fishing and rock climbing. This is a working farm with apricots, sheep and the harvesting of honeybush tea. Farming activities can be observed at close quarters, and it's particularly interesting during harvest time from December till mid-February, when sun drying of the fruit is in progress. Here you can swim in the natural crystal clear rock pools or try catching black bass in the nearby Coho River. You can explore the mountain streams in search of the rare red-winged fish or the very scarce indigenous Galaxias zebratus. An S-bend comes up at the 2.3 kilometer mark, which is the landmark indicating the beginning of the steep descent to the Coho River crossing. The gradients get quite steep here, up to 1 in 5, and in wet weather, vehicles without 4-wheel drive might have traction issues. The road now descends relentlessly towards the river in a southeasterly heading, but at the 3 kilometer mark it levels off briefly as the road ducks into a side ravine to maintain altitude, then drops down sharply once more. All along this descent there are excellent and open views of the Coho River as the road parallels its western side. The Langkloof was given its name by Isaac Schrijver in 1689 and more thoroughly explored by a later expedition under Ensign August Buehler in 1752. The valley has been farmed since 1760 and developed into an important fruit-growing region during the 1900s, specifically prized for its apples and pears. Joubertina is the largest but also the youngest town in the Langkloof and was founded in 1907 as a Dutch Reformed community named in honor of the Reverend W.A. Joubert of Uniondale. The Reverend prohibited the sale of alcohol in the town, a ban which was never lifted but is no longer enforced. Be sure to watch part 2 of the Kouga-Kleinrivier Pass.